The world is full of fun, unique, diverse, and interesting things. You're going to want to stick around for this one, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Your Little Castle show. We enjoy what we get to do to highlight those leaders in our community from around the world. People are hearing about us from all over the country. Give us it's about a 2 hour drive. You said 3 hour drive. 3 hour drive. Yep. Kirksville. Now, do you say Missouri?
Missouri, yep.
Or do you say Missouri?
Missouri.
Missouri,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Because in different parts of St. Louis, people say it both ways.
Yeah.
Depending on what, and I'm like, there's no A on the end, but hey,
yeah.
We have more of that cultural diversity that we all appreciate because you learn a lot. Unique background here from our guest today. A little bit we might touch on. I'll let him decide what he wants to talk about. But Menno has been. What part of the country were you at when you were part of the Amish community?
Yes. So I was born in Minnesota, and
okay.
up in Utica area, Minnesota, southern Minnesota. And then in 2005, when I was 6 years old, we moved. My family moved down to La Plata, Missouri, and that was just south of Kirksville a little bit, about 10 miles. And then I grew up there from 2005 to 2018. My wife and I got married, and then we moved over across the highway into Gibbs-Brashear area. And so then in 2021, we left the Amish and are no longer part of the Amish culture, but we still use a lot of their what do you say, like the
work ethic,
tradition, work ethic. Yeah, we still use
okay.
We still practice a lot of their values and their traditions and stuff like that. But we just no longer are part of that actual community, and because of that, they have shunned us.
Okay.
And because if we have left, we were baptized in the Amish church, and because we have left that, they have shunned us, and they said, you're no longer allowed in our house, or you're no longer allowed to eat with us. We're not going to associate with you guys. You're done. And if you come back and join the Amish church again, then you can basically be welcomed back in again. But now my family, her family is a little bit different, harder to deal with. My family they're pretty easy to get along with. For the most part, they'll still associate with us. For the most part, some of the younger generation, they'll be like, okay, yeah, I don't have a problem with you coming by and talking or eating with us. Don't have a problem. Like my parents, my dad's an Amish bishop. And so basically, what he does in the community, he's seen as a leader. And so basically now he's like, oh, everybody else sees him and is like, okay, why is he letting his non-Amish kids come in and associate with him like that? And then he gets looked down upon in that sense, basically. So
that's an interesting way that humans interact, and I guess that's part of it. I thought we might have a little discussion about that. We're going to talk about Menno's business because he's done a great job. We look at his website. We're going to share a lot of information here about him. But I deal with, we all deal with the differences that we see mostly. Mm-hmm. I mean, like the difference in somebody's skin color, like designates that they must be totally different from us and we must treat them differently.
Right.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I do if you wanted to find a way to be divisive, but that's not the way I think in general, all humans, I make this argument, we're getting into a weird tangent here starting off our show, everybody, but Menno was talking about it, and I agree, it's just, we're all humans at our core, right?
Right.
I said this on my other show, the Cowboy and Judge show. We had Wesley Bell on, and I was talking to him. I'm like, we both have 2 arms, 2 eyes. I mean, a lot of people get confused with, like, this is the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Brad Pitt and Cardinal Cowboy, you will never see us both in the same place at the same time. Think about that one for a minute. But the truth is, Brad looks a lot like me. Mm-hmm. Very true, everybody. Both have 2 eyes. Both have a nose. But you get what my joke there is that, like, we don't have to separate ourselves with whatever, and if it's even something as minimal as, like, I say minimal, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm saying if you have a religious perspective,
right,
you don't have to hate the other people that weren't there or dislike them or at a minimum use the word shun. That just makes me a little sad to imagine that's sometimes where it is. It makes me want to go visit and say, hey guys, let's talk about this. Like, if somebody doesn't agree with you, that doesn't mean you have to disown them.
Right.
You would say, hey, you're right to believe what you want to believe. Thank goodness in this country, still what we have the capacity for. And if you have a different perspective, then maybe I can learn from you. Yeah. That's why I like talking about what you said with regard to the Amish, because they're known for making great materials and furniture and awesome, things that we need. Mm-hmm. I can't even name all the things, but I know there's some places in the I think there's a place in Fenton. I forget the name of it. I forget the name of it, but I think they get a lot of Amish stuff, and it's beautiful, high quality stuff. But they have a different perspective, and I would say maybe you guys can work something out, talk about it. But for now, you've gone on to a different direction in your life.
Correct.
And here you are. You own a company you've started. Is this now? You said how long has it been?
Almost 5 years.
Yeah, almost 5
started out in
years.
2020. Yep, a great year of COVID.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to start a business, there's no more difficult time to do
Yeah.
it than during the middle of that interesting time on our planet. But literally, when you get into this, we're all ultimately here, I believe, without getting too political or religious or whatever. There's somebody up there in charge, whatever you want to call it, God, theory, whatever, entity, higher power, that, because it's impossible if you analyze this critically. Here we go, everybody. And I invite any one of my atheist friends, let's have a discussion. Trace it all back. Tell me everything you got back to the beginning, the Big Bang, whatever, and then tell me where that came from. Think about that for a minute. So with that, let's get back into what we're here for, because on this planet, where the way things work, the way we operate here, we've got a lot of things that people need to survive.
That's right.
And you've decided to take the task of saying, I'm going to help people with probably the most important thing they own, or live in at least, if they don't own it. And a lot of times it is the most valuable thing they own, their home, right?
More so commercial.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, more so commercial, yeah.
And then where they work.
Correct.
And so commercial is literally like, what's commercial? Like, am I watching a TV commercial? Am I watching commercials? No. Commercial is commerce, right?
Yeah.
Is the core word for that. And so then when we have a commercial builder, they're helping people with the places that people work.
Right.
Typically, right?
Right.
I had another guest on not long ago, and we talked about what was commercial. It was anything that wasn't residential, really.
Yeah, that is basically it. Yeah, commercial and industrial.
Because it's like he said, we do golf caddy roofs or something or whatever, and just down the list, anything that isn't someplace that somebody lives is deemed then commercial. Is that kind of your definition?
Pretty much, yeah. Yep.
And your emphasis then is to work with the businesses.
Correct.
And you do some residential too. I started off with that.
Yeah, we do a little bit. Yeah, we're just working a residential flat roof right now. Basically, we don't do any shingles or metal roof installs. Shingles is something we don't normally get to. There's a bunch of other guys out there that do shingles, but we're on a flat roof today. The guys were washing a flat roof that was EPDM roofs, and we're going to restore that.
What do you say? EPDM.
EPDM.
Okay, let's learn here. What is that? What is an EPDM roof?
EPDM is a black rubber roof. Same rubber they use to make tires.
Really?
Yeah, it's a black rubber roof, and it's fully adhered over the roof, and so it's getting aged now. So the seams start to crack up. You know, the rubber's not going to last forever, right? So we're going to come in, we're going to wash it, prime it, treat the seams with a fabric base coat, put a fabric base coat over the entire roof, and then spray our white top coat over top of that. So it's a restoration system.
Nice.
Instead of having to come in and replace that rubber, we're actually going to be able to reuse that rubber, not remove that rubber. We're actually restoring the rubber where the rubber is still in good shape for the most part, except the seams need to be addressed and stuff like that. So,
okay, see, that's why I love getting to do interviews with people, because I literally double my knowledge virtually every show. Let's give a shout out to our sponsors. We got to pay some bills, as they say, right? But we get a lot of support from some great companies. So first and foremost, Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things in your little castle, whether that might be a business where you need some furniture or at your home where people live. Furniture is an important piece for anyone's home. So Carroll House Furniture, because they will help you get nice things. Where do you think most people, and it might be in your business or in your home, and we say in whichever, and some people their business is another castle that they have.
Yeah.
So make sure you get nice things in your little castle. With that also, this has become the most exciting thing I've worked on in a long time. I'll share with this real quickly. And so you can see I've got multiple ways to zoom in my cameras now. And here we go. I'm going to do this one up here. Let me see if I can do it. Watch this thing. I'm going to put the camera on me. So I'm about to show you guys this coin. All right. This coin is pretty cool because it is minted right here with a company that has become a sponsor of the show. But look at this thing here. All right. Watch this. I zoomed in with my super duper 4K. Look at that. Beauties of the world. Look at that. Certified. And look how cool the decorations are on there.
Unbelievable.
And that, look at the detail in that. That's the globe on the background there.
That's unbelievable.
I think that's Sir Charles, Prince Charles. I guess he's King Charles now. But that is what we get from our sponsor now for a number of weeks. My Metal Pro Curtis Harlan. Oops, I hit the button there. We go back over here, but I'll zoom back out while I do that. My Metal Pro, because if you would like to learn how to invest in precious metals, they have systematized it. That's what I get excited about. They have a magazine that I get, the Vault Report. The Vault Report right here. I'm going to zoom in again. Let me back over here. I'm going to do it right here, though, I think. Right there, everybody. I'll put that over cover my mug. But look at that. That is Curtis Harlan. He's featured in the magazine. He is the #1 distributor in the company who has 100,000 members.
Wow.
People are like, well, the #1 guy in the company with 17 members. Well, cool. No, 100,000.
Yeah, wow.
They're a big company, and so it's nice to have them sponsoring because they know what we're about. We advocate that you learn to invest some way in something that has value, and metal, particularly gold and silver, are a great way to do that because they generally appreciate in value. So go to cowboygold.com if you'd like to find out more information and get a hold of these guys and buy your precious metals at literally, like most of these companies, you find out they mark it up 8, 10, 20, 30%. Their average, I think, is around 2% because they systematized it. Gold is set at a price. It's called spot. I'm learning a lot about gold. It's the spot price. It's the same price across the world. That's the price for gold. And then people, you go in and they break it down into pieces and then they give it to you in a coin, and all of a sudden you're going, you add it up, you're like, wait a minute, I spent $4,300 if I get enough of those pieces to equal 1 ounce, because 1 ounce price is set. So check that out, learn what they've got as far as information. You can get more information, just go to goldcowboy.com and get some information there about that. All right, so let's get into this now, because the important stuff you offer is pretty amazing, and we've even got your updated website yet.
Yes.
And so most people have websites, but this one is dynamite. Now this one is about to be live. We got a free live preview of it right here. How long till this is live?
We're getting real close, down to the next week or two.
Okay.
The way it's looking. So. Yeah.
Okay, but you guys get a free preview of it there. We wanted to put that one out. We had the other website, good looking website. This one's got some more advanced features, and Menno and I are talking a little bit about some of the advanced things you do behind the scenes. We'll talk about that some other time if you guys want to let me know. Automation, everybody, AI, it's coming. Either you get on board or you will get left behind. Trust me. So
this website's still got some updates, stuff we're working on getting through and stuff. But this is the start of it.
This is the front that people see. That's the front facing. They call it the front facing, the door front, if you will, because now our storefronts are websites a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's the back office, the back end. What happens? Most of the website guys just say, I don't know. They fill out the form. It goes to your email. How about you have a system that follows up and automates and does all kinds of cool stuff? I can show you how to set those up, but we do it ourselves. We can show you how to do it. All right, so the website, as you talk about, I want to give a quick overview here, but let's go down our questions here so I can stay on track. Right, there we go. But and this is the first time I said, hey, I've got this new big monitor. You guys can't see it. It's gone that way, which is vertical versus horizontal. But I got all my questions in front of me over there. I said, hey, we'll let you use my tablet I used to read, and he's got the questions in front of him here. So we can both make sure we're covering what we want to talk about. Why did you decide to get into this particular space when you were thinking about all the things in the world you can do? Tell me what, especially commercial side of it. I mean, that's you're dealing with some big boys there. But why and how have you become such a success here in 5 years?
I'll be honest. It's not just what we did; it's the people we've been able to work with, and people that we've been able to work for. The business that we've been blessed with some very good working with some good businesses. Kind of how I got in. My brother-in-law is involved in this company, it's called Conklin, and we buy from Conklin Company. And so he was at a convention and was on his way home, and he lives in Wisconsin and we live in Missouri. So he was like, hey, you want to start a branch down here? So that's what we did, and so we started up and we opened our account in spring of 2020 basically, and then we started our roofing business in August of 2020. And one of the biggest things was people said, and this is Amish family that told me this, and there are other people as well, said, man, there's not near enough commercial roofs around here. You're not going to stay busy. And just yesterday I made a video on our Snapchat, and I told people like, hey, that's exactly what people told me, but here's where I'm at. I was on the roof at A.T. Steele University there at Kirksville, and we've done multiple projects for them this spring, and just finished up one just yesterday, and we're working on doing bids for more of them later this year, and they've been a really good customer, and so their motivation telling me that that was my motivation. Them telling me you can't make this happen, you can't make it work. And that was one of my biggest factors of why I became successful. Because my thought was, I'm going to prove you guys wrong. I'm proving you guys wrong. That's why. That's one of the reasons that I think we're as successful as we are, and we've been blessed. You know,
I got to switch the camera on here, saying that's what I'm talking about. Everybody, people wonder what this Cardinal Cowboy thing was about. I was hit by a drunk driver, was in a coma. They said I was going to be a vegetable. After I came out of a coma, they said he's probably not going to make it. My dad told me the stats. He's like, Carter, you know I'm a numbers guy, also very straight shooter. They got scholarships named after my dad. He did a lot to help this planet. And he said they gave you less than 50-50 odds to live or die. Those aren't good odds. But they said after I made it that I'd be a vegetable and that they'd have to take care of me for the rest of my life. And my goal was to prove them wrong.
Prove them wrong.
Think I've done that? I got a TV show I produced myself, everybody. I'm not magical, but I just stay focused, figure out how to do things. I'm a computer nerd. Parents made me go. But to start I don't know if I could start a commercial roofing company. You've done it.
Yeah. Yep.
You proved them wrong.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, man. Doing those kinds of things. Let's see the hair standing up a little on my arms. That's pretty cool, man. those are the kinds of people we want to have on the show because we want other people to learn from what you've done. You don't look like you're 72 years old and have spent all your years and tried to get there and finally got the commercial company going when you were 54 or whatever it was.
Right.
That's kind of my road. I'm 53 and it took me a few years, but started 12 years ago. Anyway, why do you think you have had such success at the young age that you are? You can say your age if you want to, but I mean, for 5 years you've been doing this, and then your background that led you here. What has that made it happen? That I'm really interested now to hear you say what you did, and that clicked in your head. You said, "I got to prove them wrong." Why?
Yeah, I can't place my finger on one specific thing. I think it was the people that I was around during that time. I had a lot of support. I did have a lot of support back in 2015, literally exactly 10 years ago. My youngest brother was in a bad farm accident on an Amish farm. 4 horses ran away with a piece of equipment. He got underneath and got badly hurt. And I was there to stop the horses, and I helped drag him underneath out of a piece of equipment. All that it was just a real hassle. Put it that way. He ended up they had to amputate his leg.
Dramatic, yeah.
And his leg was all mangled up. The bone was okay, but the flesh was just the arteries were just tore like crazy. So they had to amputate his leg.
Yeah, lucky to be alive.
And
blood loss can be
right, yeah. But they
big arteries in your legs.
They had to fly him to. I think they did not fly him. They brought him to St. Louis, the Children's Hospital in St. Louis. I was 16 at the time, and we had a farm. We farmed over 100 acres with just a team of horses and stuff, and we milked cows. Had to put up hay, and being 16 years old, I was the oldest boy at home. I had a sister that was older yet. Mom and Dad were at the hospital quite a bit. They didn't have transportation back and forth they didn't just jump in a car and go. They had to get a driver to take them down there all the time, and then they stayed down there. They didn't leave him by himself. So there was Dad wasn't at home, and he was in the hospital for about 2 months. That workload fell on my shoulders. And I think that's where I kind of started taking the responsibility. I stepped up to the plate and I said, okay, I'm making this happen. I'm going to take care of the farm. We had to plant corn, and we had to cut hay, we had to mow hay, we had to bale hay. And so there was a lot of things that I had the responsibility fell on my shoulder, and I stepped up to the plate and I said, I can do this. And there's one day there's something an interesting fact for you for the Amish. We had 25 acres of hay cut and ready to bale one day, all square bales. And so ended up putting about 1,400 square bales of hay in one day. We had let the community know that, and the people showed up with horses, teams of wagons, and just had 4 balers going out there just baling them just fast as they can go. We put up 1,400 bales of hay in a couple hours, and just in the barn stacked and ready to go. And up in the hay mound, so we had an elevator to take it up in the hay mound, stacked and all that. But yeah, there was guys out there, just all over. But that's some of the support from the community. But anyways, back to your question.
Yeah,
that
those are the stories we like to hear.
One of the things that was one of the I stepped to the plate at a young age like that, and it brought out the entrepreneur in me. So
that's the question I'm trying to figure out. What motivated me? What motivates some people? What is the reason some people stay unmotivated?
Yeah.
Most all of us have the same opportunities. Now, everybody's got, they got access to this because their parents and this, and they got money or whatever it is. I will beat anyone at any time at whatever competition, business, work, whatever, because I will outwork them. And because I've learned from mistakes I've made because I continue to do hard work. Is that a strategy you're thinking about? Some people are afraid to put the effort in because it's that looks like work. And they will literally, I talk about this, but how often do people literally, they will spend more time and energy trying to not get things done, to make excuses, to find ways to dodge whatever it is you're trying to help them with or get involved with or push them through. They will spend more time and energy than it would have been to just do it and get it done.
Exactly.
And then you feel accomplished and better and positive and great about your life after you got it done. And it builds on itself. It like compounds. There's not a hair standing up again. But that's literally why I think most people they don't understand. Being lazy is so much more difficult.
It is, yeah. Yep. I'll be honest, there's days when I have a lot going on and I'm like, man, is it worth it? But then if I have a days that's not quite as full and quite as busy with the schedule, I'm like, man, this is boring. I like to have something to do all the time. And we just closed on a property for our new building and paid over $500,000 for a new property and a new building and investment and all that. We're going to be building a new shop and all that, relocating. We closed on that on Friday. And Saturday I've seen a house come up for sale right down the road, and we're wanting to go buy that and see if we can buy a house and do it in Airbnb. And people look at me and are like, that guy's crazy. He just closed on a big property. He's got a big payment, and here he wants to go do another one. But that's me. That's what drives me. It's what gets me up in the morning. It's what I want better for my family than when I had growing up.
Yeah, well, we talk about that. Almost every generation in the history of the United States has improved.
Yeah.
We're talking about now that may have ceased with this most recent generation. Nothing against the actual generation themselves. They were just born, right? We know how that process works. How do you have babies?
Yeah.
But I blame the people that created the babies, right? They're the ones that made this happen. It's not their fault for being born. But we have to continue to push. We've gotten pretty lazy, I think, as a culture because things have gotten pretty good.
Yeah.
And now it's right. Tell me if you deal with this one, because we're getting off on a little tangent here, but we're going to go through this. We got 2 half hours here. But what do you call it? I'll just say it plainly, lazy, because complacent, I guess is there's a word of the day, complacent, everybody. Is that all right? Complacent. Look that one up. But complacent with regard to, I can live in my mom's basement. I have air conditioning. I have access to the internet.
Yeah.
I can get rides from whatever, or ride my bicycle, or have one of my friends pick me up, and I don't even have to work. What percentage of the population has adopted that strategy? And they think that they've got it made because they don't have to get up. They have no real responsibility. I think they're missing the fact that, like, you only live once.
That's exactly
right. You want your existence on this planet to be somebody that just sat there and stared at the ceiling and played Nintendo? Is it Nintendo? Fortnite, I guess I've heard of. Why? You've got so much you can accomplish. You get to live one time. Don't waste it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. Yeah, people are scared of doing something, and they're willing to settle for a mediocre lifestyle. That's not me. I don't want to have a mediocre lifestyle, and that's why I'm driven like I am. That's just the way why I want to go out and make things happen. I want to go out and talk to building owners, talk to people about their roofs, and being able to help them and take care of their problems.
Well, you're the guy they're going to want to hire because they're not going to be worried whether the job's get it done or not, right?
That's right. Yeah.
that's the point we're trying to make here. Like, do some business with Menno here, but in general, get off your patootie and go work, because you will help make your own life more fulfilling. You'll be happy. They talk about it. Jordan Peterson, essentially the #1 psychiatrist in the world right now. Very controversial because he's essentially told people, stop making excuses, get off your butt, because that's what's going to help you become happy. And he says it's not about being happy, it's about having meaning. Having your life has meaning.
Correct.
So here we are with somebody who's figured that out at 16, thrust into a situation, not by your own doing, but either somebody had to step up or the thing might have collapsed and everything would have gone away, because if bills aren't getting paid, things start, I don't know if the IRS comes after any, how well they deal with, or the collectors, the bill collectors for the Amish and everyone around the world. It seems like that's just kind of the way the world works. If you work, you have resources. If you don't, you're always dependent on somebody else's means to control you. Not a fun way to live life. Well, all right. You've been doing this now for 5 years. What is it about this particular business that really fuels your passion?
Really, it's like I said, it's what gets me up in the morning, being able to go out and help people. And when I pull up to a job, when I pull up to a customer's building, and it's not his house, I know he doesn't live there, but when I pull up to a customer's building and I can go solve his problems, maybe he has a metal roof that's leaking or a membrane on a roof that's leaking or something, and we can come in there for a fraction of the cost. We can actually do our restoration system versus them removing that and putting new back down, filling up the landfills and stuff like that. We can restore that roof. That's probably one of the biggest things, being able to take care of customers in that sense and saving them money in the long run. And it's still tax deductible. It's a tax write-off, right? And being able to take care of them in that sense, not having to go into bigger, spending big money on doing it that way. So that's probably one of the biggest things that fuels me.
Well, again, back to why wouldn't you do as much as you can to contribute to what you, because like I said, I guess somebody like yourself, what you saw happen to your brother, it didn't happen to you directly, but you got to, maybe you learned more from it, because people that watched my accident and what happened with me, they witnessed what happened to me.
Right.
I just went through it. Like,
right.
I woke up 6 days later. On the 7th day, I rose.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what happened. I pulled a ventilator out of my own throat. Came out of a coma. I didn't know what it was like. There was 6 days of my life that are gone.
Yep.
But what is it? I was just like, people are going to tell me what I can't do. Oh, yeah? Watch me. I ended up playing pro football, everybody. Believe that or not. I got some tryouts with the Rams, played pro indoor, got paid. All after a coma. Anything's possible if you're willing to put the efforts in. It sounds like you've got that motivation. It's weird. I wish we could just bottle this and put it in a pill and send it to people. Take this pill. Have you been pilled? Red pilled? Blue pilled? What's whatever. But
it don't work that way.
I wish it did, because then we'd all find ourselves to be successful. I'm looking here. I want to make sure I've got you pulled up correctly. I'm looking at, when I look for you for reviews, if I got the right one, if I look here on this particular link,
yes,
there's some reviews. All right, everybody, I'm going to throw these up on the wall because reviews are important. And you can see we built the wall, everybody, the TV wall. Don't get too alarmed. We built the wall. But this wall shows a number of the reviews that our young gentleman Menno has accomplished with his business here in a short period, 5 years, and taking note of these. And if you want to get more information, if you'd like to learn about his business and the reviews, read them. I'm going to grab one. I want to say that I've worked on this crew, and they work very hard to achieve the quality that the customer wants. They don't only pay attention to all the details, but Menno is very respectful to his customers. He works his tail end off. Thanks, guys, for the hard work. Keep it up. Mike Westbrook. And so did Mike work for you, and you also did some work with him too?
Yeah, we worked together, yep. And then, but he's worked with us on the cruise, so, yep.
That's good. That's something that somebody had good to say about you. And there's a lot more of that information out there in the reviews. And check it out. So as we get in here. Now, we spent more time talking the first half of the show about life and the theory and why we exist. I think that's good stuff. It helps you get to understand Menno and what he's really about, because that's why people decide to hire somebody, right? If they can trust them, we all are focused on one thing, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Go look it up. And at the very bottom of that is safety, security, shelter. And if you feel that there's something that could be threatening you or something that could take advantage of you and your family, then you will not work with them. But I think it's pretty clear. Here's somebody you know doesn't operate that way, and therefore his life is easier. He gets more business from it, and long term it's a good strategy for success.
Yep.
Okay. A quick cost analysis, and we're going to actually talk about that in the second half show, but we're going to break down what it is you do to better process, proceed, and produce your product for your clients, and a cost breakdown of how effective that is and why people should say, do you do it yourself or do you hire somebody? There's always that debate. And then who do you hire, and why is one guy way cheaper or way more or way less than the other? And you can give that reason why they should talk to you, because you do it right.
I'll tell you what, anybody can go to Home Depot, Menards, or Lowe's and grab some roof coating.
There we
in
go.
a 5-gallon bucket.
All right,
but you're
we'll
not.
be back for that second show. Get ready?